and not fantastic ways for DogChamp to both get to and take down the Supernova Egg in sort of the heat of a fight. So, not a bad play from Nouns. They go still kind of, I would say, aggressive with the Phoenix and the Tusk, but not quite that Skywrath combo that had been sort of led up to with the DK pick. But now if you're DogChamp, well, you've got some decisions to make here. Speed could be thrown onto the Tiny and just take it to the offlane once again, but now what do you pick, ET? Do you go for your carry? Do you go for your mid? Because you're not 100% sure what the matchup's going to be at this point.
And typically you would want to go for your carry here because you do get to hide the Tiny and the Wyvern in terms of your mid and your offlane and that type of setup. But at the same time, without that Medusa being the slam pick here, what hero do you feel confident enough for Stonebank? I would love the Ursa. Ursa would seem pretty sick here. Not only do you get the overpower for that Phoenix egg, but also a pretty free lane versus the DK, if I do say so myself. But that's where, let's see. Not a bad choice at all. They will kind of say, okay, even no matter what our hero poise or what our player choices are for these heroes, Pitward, extremely solid hero. We've seen time and time again what this hero can do in terms of laning stage, has base damage over pretty much every other hero in the game. In terms of the game, this route is so obnoxious, and this will probably force the CK into what I want to say is a support position, but then you get kind of in this issue where on Nouns, what's our damage going to be like? If we put our CK into a 3 or a support, now what are we looking like on the other side of things? It's where, unfortunately for Nouns, they do fix their problem a little bit with the Tusk here, but damage-wise, they will kind of run off a cliff. It's where if DogChamp can move past that first wave, Nouns have pretty good burst, pretty good sustained damage, but after the fight, after those team fights, will this Wyvern be able to outlast you? Will you be able to see that performance from Yaren where he's saving Stonebank on a sliver of HP and then the turnaround comes? Because the Tiny and the Underlord, they are not easy to take out. It's where you really are going to be relying on that Sunray to really kind of pierce through that damage. And then the issue of whether or not Nouns can actually get onto these buildings, because Pitward just naturally extends your games.
And I believe that is part of the reason why we see some of these bans from DogChamp looking for some of those more damage-oriented heroes, right? They take away the Templar Assassin. So they're aware Nouns are certainly strong right now in terms of durability and teamfight strength, but yeah, the ability to punch through the DogChamp front line might be a little bit limited, and they would love to make it even more limited with these bans. So looking like they're going in the right direction. Meanwhile, for Nouns, well, they start with a ban on the Jug here. I don't know, ET. In terms of the Stonebank hero pool, what else do you think that they're really afraid of?
Yeah, and I'm trying to think. Aside from the Jug, and Jug is an interesting one. Typically, we've only seen the hero paired up with the Witch Doctor for a very good reason, but across the board, you have to think about heroes like the Bloodseeker. You have to think about heroes like the Phantom Assassin. If we do want to see another Battle Fury carry come out from him, there is still the Ursa kind of sitting in the wings. If we really want to take it there, I think unfortunately though, if we do see the Ursa, we need to see it after we see these next pick from Nouns, just because if there's any chance that it's going to be an Ursa into another illusion hero, that could be the call to just be like, no, we'll cut it off, we'll decide to go for something else. And it's where very likely we could see heroes like the Troll, like the PA. We have not seen any love given to the Faceless Void, and honestly speaking, I feel like we might see it from Costa Bila here. And actually DogChamp are the ones that banned the Ursa. Now that is interesting.
Yeah, the Faceless Void would make for an interesting pick. I think we've seen one ban on it today, and that was really all that we got to see of the hero. So you set yourself up quite nicely. Nouns have some good damage they can throw into the pit, depending on the itemization, and or excuse me, into the chrono, not the pit. But once that chronosphere ends, then you can sort of deploy the secondary lockdown as well. But it's not the direction they're going to go in. They'll take the Razor instead, and well, there's a little bit that DogChamp have in terms of roots, slows, things of that nature to try and keep the Razor away, but once he gets a BKB, it really is just going to be the Winter's Curse.
Yeah, and it's one of those carries as well where you can't really aggressively curse him. It's where Razor does have that ramp up period. It's not like you're going to curse a hero next to a Razor and then he's just going to immediately kill you, but there it is. It got all the way through. I wasn't mentioning it because I was waiting for the ban, but how are we in a game like this yet again here? And now Stonebank will be tested. He is in a pretty difficult laning situation. And of course, laning versus the DK, you're going to get stunned. You're going to get a lot of creeps denied right out in front of you. But how do DogChamp get the Wyvern and the Alchemist yet again here? I don't know. It's going to be a very scary game here. And all it takes is one slip up, one misstep from Nouns that delays their BKB timings, that forces them onto the back foot here. And we could see an absolute spiral here. At the same time, though, look at that Gunner Tusk. We get to see him take it to the mid lane, his pub special, the hero that he makes everybody dread over at EU when he plays his morning pubs. But honestly, will this be enough? Will this be enough to relocate that Alchemist out of the backline? Will he be the one dying instead? It's such a pace-driven draft from Nouns here. I really don't think they can afford to slip up, though. It's where you give DogChamp a little bit too much time, a little bit too much farm, and then suddenly you don't have items that are going to be able to deal with Stonebank. This is the true Alch test, though.
Mm-hmm. And, well, for DogChamp, the plan of have Stonebank just farm like crazy and lead us from there worked perfectly well in that third game, so it is a little unfortunate that that's kind of the only plan that they have right now that's really working, but they might as well give it another shot, and it's going to be down to Nouns, as you said, to push the pace, to set the tempo that they want, to keep DogChamp on the back foot as long as possible so that Stonebank doesn't just drag his team to another victory.
Yeah, and you do not want to be going up into that best of five. If you're Nouns right now, you want to cut this game off. You want to cut this series short. You do not want to be in a best of one situation where the chaos arises. The hero picks that you don't expect to come out. All it takes is one misband, something missed, and then the game goes haywire. And that's the field where the underdog always wants to play in. You want to be DogChamp in that scenario. You want to have something that you've been hiding the entire tournament, and then you just decide to pull it out here. It's where Nouns, I think they're still in a lot of their prep. They're in a lot of their draft. They're clearly comfortable with the heroes they selected here. And I do like the changeup of the Phoenix in terms of what we've been seeing out of our supports. But at the same time, have to be so careful. It's a draft that DogChamp even executed earlier today, so you know they're warm for this game.
That is a bit of a bummer for Yaren. That ward was spotted just because Nouns were kind of walking by at the right time. Stayed on the high ground long enough to see it go down, so bit of a quick D ward for them there. Gets a little bit of extra gold their way, and now, well, set up for a potential play onto this River Rune. Ryoya and Yaren, I don't know if this is really an engagement that they're going to want, especially considering Ryoya has already gone for the tree with that first point, but well, they'll give it a try, and actually it's only Costabile here to even attempt to contest them. The rest of the lineup for Nouns went further to the north, where they're actually looking for the kill. That's a nice play with the shards from Gunner. B9 gonna get the follow-up stun onto him from Moo, and there's a first blood for your mid laner.
Yep, pretty nice. Of course, Gunner with the first blood, you know. I bet we could look at a heat gram of what he's actually been able to do with that gold, but at the same time, look who he's lining up against. They decide to go for the draw instead. They move around the lanes to avoid the Razor counter versus the Pit Lord. I feel like DogChamp, they always have this option open to them. They always try to look for the lane swap to get the best advantage they can out of these laning stages.
In the meantime, Bloody Nine is getting a little bullied again, but I mean, that's been the call really all day long for him in both series, just being sacrificed, but I don't know. They do need to be kind of careful, right? It's Dragon Tail into a little bit more DOT, perhaps when Z-Freak gets another level or two, and then the Crystal Maiden does actually need to be a little bit careful in terms of Nouns' ability to bring her down.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And then, well, B9, though, he's a little bit more ready than Yaren was previously for this creep pull, so Z-Freak will actually most likely have to kill this wave. We'll see if he gets the half pull off while he's underneath a little bit of pressure from B9 here. And he kind of gets it. Now B9 is just going to sap the XP here, regardless of whether or not gets denied, but okay. Damage onto B9. This is going to get a little bit hairy, but Stonebank already pulled the creep up behind the tower. As far as Stonebank is concerned, this is a huge win right now. They are really losing track of the lanes. Yeah, it's Z-Freak. He's got to pull it back, but this is very awkward if you're Nouns.
At this point, Moo, you've already left the lane, you've already committed, you really do just kind of have to keep going until you get this kill, so B9, oh, okay. It's going to go for the TP out, and all that time ends up being wasted. Moo gets nothing.
And it is still creep wave behind the tower, but with all that time spent, it's very timely that Z-Freak actually decided to put a sentry into that small camp. If it was just purely a body block, this would be coming up all DogChamp, but because of that, they do just meet the waves. This is still a free creep wave that does get pushed into Moo, but yeah, that was a little bit hairier than I think they were ready for. While bottom lane, well, it's just the CK. We've seen this story many times before.
Able to set up. They forced Yarn to put a point into the Cold Embrace pretty early on here to try and save himself. Obviously, didn't actually work as he still died, and now... Well, now the Cold Embrace is going to be there to be annoying if they try for that kill again, but there's no Splinter Blast that's going to be coming out to really harass them either.
Yeah, they just kind of get to chill for the time being. Of course, the Cold Embrace is the great solution to that Chaos Bolt coming out on you, but unfortunately, if you're the one getting Chaos Bolted, well, you've got a pretty tight window to actually allow that to land on top of you. At the same time, though, Rioya is having an alright time here. He still is playing versus a Razor, which is a very obnoxious lane, but at least he has the boots advantage over Costabile. Costabile went for the Elven skin instead, just so that way maybe get a few more last hits underneath tower. Unfortunately, Rioya doesn't get to kill the courier, even though he hit it twice. That's kind of sad.
Time Husky and Yarn continue to duel here, but as you said, that Cold Embrace is kind of just the answer. Husky can do a little bit, but not enough to actually secure really any opportunity at that point, as back up top, Moo. Dangerously low on HP there. He is sort of beating up on a tango there, but Bloody Nine is really trying to keep the pressure on him. Ooh. I don't know how sort of close you want to play this. Stonebank certainly doesn't have the stun, but yeah, he would like to just sort of pull back and heal up, and Z-Freak's going to help him do that with another creep pull.
Yeah, it just kind of works for you, and it's one of the issues in playing versus this Alchemist. If he gets that creep surplus on you, you're kind of pressed for skill points on DK, and with him getting 2 points up in the Dragon Blood, which is exactly what you kind of want to do, it means you don't have that security for getting the range creeps as bottom lane, though. Huge trades. Everybody is so low across the map here, but look, Costabile, body blocks. Do they give up? It's got Arctic Burn in one, but does really die for it? Ooh, Cold Brace? Okay.
Oof. Very well timed there. Rioya will live. Husky's coming in, but yeah, there's nothing you can do here. He couldn't pull Rioya back into tower range, so DogChamp are able to strike back. They gave up the first 2 kills of the game. They get 2 immediately afterwards to sort of even things up, and looking across these lanes, really, it's going well for, I guess, everyone other than the Tiny, at least last hit-wise, but Rioya with that kill, it's going to sort of even things out, but now top lane, yeah, B9 gets taken down. A little bit too low on health there on the CM, and does end up getting punished for it.
Yeah, but at the same time, what a perfect way to die. You get your full mana, you die with no mana or HP left in you, you get to TP back to the lane with salves, with goodies, with friends, and you denied a full wave in the large camp because they were doing such a good job of kind of bodying this lane with the acid spray. But yeah, that's where you should see them calming down top maybe a little bit more. I feel like nouns should be the ones maybe getting more aggressive once that DK hits level 6, but until then, they really don't have enough damage to do anything to Stonebank.
In the meantime, oh, hold on. They're going to try for a play on a move here. They get the root down. There's going to be the unstable concoction. But, yeah, 2 points in the Dragon's Blood and a tier 1 tower. Spirits coming in, and not quite doable. But prior to that sort of little skirmish breaking out, the question I did want to ask EBT is, when should we be seeing maneuvers from Gunnar here to potentially leave this lane? Because I don't know if he has the damage to kill Speed in this 1v1, especially with 2 bracers on him already. So does he start to rotate, or do they maybe bring the fight to his lane?
Well, let's see. Well, with this rune, maybe we could see him actually get active here. And oh boy, I feel like Speed might be getting taken down here, but that's where Yaren. Yeah, he's so ready for this fight, and Speed is just a little bit too tanky here. He's saving the Cold Embrace so long, and oh, greed from the bird. And now, does he get punished? Kind of feels like it. The Arcane Rune, just no cooldowns on your Tusk. Your Tusk that does so much damage here. Shards in 3. It's like there's 0 ways Yarn can actually escape this. Even Rioya actually ends up coming over here, but just to steal the bounty rune. And hopefully Rioya doesn't actually die here, because again, this Arcane Rune, there's no CDs. He's out of mana. Oh boy, Rioya, what have you done?
That's not a great play from him. Of course, he had no way of knowing what was going down, but the Fiend's Gate is now coming in. Speed's going to join the fight, but so will Costabile. It's a party in this Southside jungle, and now with Speed back in, hey, how's it going? We're going to just jump onto you another time, and Yeah,
Oh,
this is not looking good. Costable with the longest static link he has gotten so far in this game. But there's the cold embrace. Yaren respawns and rejoins the fight. I just don't know if that's enough. Speed should go down a second time here. And did did DogChamp get anything in that fight, ET? I'm not sure they did.
they got, I think, one kill. It's not nice. Yeah, the death memory is all messed up. The recap is in shambles because of how staggered that engagement was. But man, what a terrible way to kind of lead things off there. And
Oh, Realia,
I
this
really
is
don't think you
awkward.
got much. And yeah, the tiny, he gets gotta get walked back to the tower. I think at least maybe able to break it up. And okay, Husky drops the body block, so they're not able to stay on the tiny. But yeah, just a overestimation of their tankiness on the DogChamp side. And it looked like a close play. It looked like they were almost gonna be able to turn for a second there, but yeah, just not it. At least you drag every hero in the game away from your alchemist, but not what you want. And as levels start to spiral out of control, it's where nouns, they kind of have this natural limiter, but oh, B9 and a DD. It's not long for this world on the CM. And now Stonebank is going to be forced out of his jungle because they know he's getting rushed, but
Oh, look at
what a
those
shards.
shards! That is insanity, and yeah, that's going to force out the immediate unstable concoction just to try and buy time, but with the double damage rune, Gunner's going to keep on going. Yarn, though, is in. Cold Embrace will be there, but now the Snowball comes in. Keeps him stunned. Walrus Punch out again. Okay, boys. 5-man tips over to Yaren. But, I mean, if you're Yaren, that's the play you have to try, right? You get the Cold Embrace for that express purpose. It just doesn't work out that time.
Yeah, and it's a sad fact of the draft where, unfortunately, a lot of these cold embraces will result in a death sentence. It is into another stun, it's into another spell. It's where you'd love to have that old talent, which was that was a cold embrace grant spell immunity, with broken talent, but without it in the game, and of course it would be probably level 20 or 25 if it still was, you just get chained up if you're not careful. It's where, unfortunately, this early game, kind of ending in a dramatic fashion here. And Snowball again. Oh boy.
Doesn't have a lot of mana at this point, but he's still trying to force something. Stonebank's coming over, but this might be the bait play. Here comes the rest of the lineup. Stonebank is in, but how much can he do? He's going to channel out an unstable concoction. It hits onto Husky, but not for very long. Ooh, creating a distraction. They stun up Riolia. Meanwhile, it should be said, Gunner is still tracking down Yaren. It's the Walrus Punch, gets the final right click, but that means he is in a bit of danger here. Unstable Concoction comes through, but they're actually just going to drop the Supernova. Can they protect it, however? Well, no, they can't, but the damage was still being done. Riolia ticks out to the DOT. And Stonebank's actually just going to use the Fiend's Gate to leave, but that means Speed's stuck here, and Costable's coming back over, so... Could they dive the tower? Yes, they could, but Moo would have to eat all of those tower shots, and he would rather not.
Yeah, it's a very messy early game, and one that nouns are pulling ahead a little bit in terms of those kills and really a lot of that experience, but the cores on DogChamp's side are not really falling behind. Really, Relay is the one that's having the most difficult time, but that curse, that's perfect. And the stun on top of it, this should be 2 for free. It's a nice snowball, but immediately into the creeps. Maybe the creeps do it.
Lady 9 is able to secure the kill. They didn't get Husky, unfortunately. Would have been a nice little sort of two-piece there, but they get the kill that matters, right? They finally bring Gunner down. They bring an end to that streak and get themselves a nice bit of money into the CM's hands, but it's better than not getting it at all.
Yeah, and more importantly, you de-ward nouns, you get that vision away from you, you start farming up some of these stacks here, which is going to put more gold into Bloody Nine's hands. Actually is able to afford his boots, which I guess is a nice aspect of him getting the kill here, but now it's, again, whether nouns can turn a lot of this lead into buildings, or if they start to fall behind a little bit, it's where you wonder. It's the peaks and valleys of their draft. They're great right now. They do an incredible amount of magic damage. You can't really afford to lane. And Gunner is just immediately back onto the other side of the map. There's Dragon Tail land. Oh! Greed.
Wow. Yeah, that's... Okay. Not great from Moo. Uncharacteristic mistake from him there as they miss out on the kill, but... Do they want to try again? Gunner's going to have the Walrus Punch coming back up, but... Not really feeling like taking the risk. And now... Well, they can try to turn their attention onto this Tier 1 tower mid. They might have to wait for the next Elder Dragon for him, but... Would be a big objective for them to take at this point.
No, it'd be huge, and that's where, for DogChamp, Speed can not die in this game. Of course, around the cart timings, that's a real no-go, but when it comes to him just being this tower defender, he needs to stick around here. He cannot allow himself to get picked off. It's where he really needs to have the cleanest game on his team, because as long as this mid-tier 1 stays alive, and it's a very healthy tower right now, well, Stonebank is farming. Stonebank has the relic. He's looking for a fairly fast radiance here, and they're about to farm up a 4-stack as well in the jungle. Nice little team up from the chorus here, but it's where nouns, they want the exact opposite. They want to go in on you. They do not want to give you any time to breathe. I mean, look at Moo. He's trying to sap XP right now. Might get tossed into the... Yeah, well, maybe steals an ancient or two. I don't even know if he got that lucky, but that's where Gunner's coming in, though.
Not really sure what he's looking to do here at this point, however. He's lost about half his HP before he even hits anyone, and now the Avalanche is going to come in. They get the Arctic, or the Winter's Curse, excuse me, and Gunner's dead. They get the follow-up stun. They take him down. They're going to get the Phoenix here as well with the root, so Z-Freak can't really jump away, and that just felt unbelievably uncoordinated from nouns. Moo gets caught out first, then Gunner runs in with the haste, and didn't really seem like he had much of a plan after the DK died.
Yeah, is something I was concerned with their early game. It doesn't feel like they are playing the cleanest right now. It feels like they are kind of struggling to make some of these plays happen. Unfortunately for Speed, though, it feels like this is a little bit tough, but Costabile has no mana. They TP'd to that fight, probably saying that he could help finish off the kill into Speed, but even though Bloody Nine threw a wrench into the works with the freezing field, I don't even know if they get it with the Razor TPing in. He was just tapped. That's another forced play that was a little bit strange, I think.
Meanwhile, Gunner and Z-Freak are trying to make a play onto Ryoya. Gunner would love to hold the Walrus Punch there so that Ryoya couldn't TP away, but in doing so, well, they don't actually have the lockdown to finish the kill. Now Stonebank's going to come in. Not enough to actually get any sort of return kill, but the creep wave did take care of the tower, so yeah, DogChamp keep their heroes alive. They take an objective, and they're none the worse for wear.
Yeah, and Stonebank shows up to that fight with the Radiance. He scares everybody back. The attention gets taken away from Speed, who doesn't have all too much jungle to farm because he is playing with an Alchemist, but is only 300 gold away from his Atos. It will be coming out around the same time. Costabile will have his BKB, so he will be ready for that fight, but I am getting a little bit concerned with how this mid game is starting out. If DogChamp get this BKB, especially on Stonebank, then this game gets very scary. Then you start to lack your damage, and then you really want to take super long fights. Fights that I don't know if DogChamp are going to allow you to take. Yarn, though, should be able to TP out here. Yeah, I think he's going to be completely fine, but the smoke might also whiff on the Alchemist. It's where they really need to get rid of this tier 1 before they make another smoke like that, I think. Maybe B9, though. He's juicy. They'd love him, but it's a little bit scary to go underneath that tower, especially into the pit.
Still a little DOT on him, so that might be enough, and yeah, okay. They get the kill from long range, and it's not a bad play. They would love to turn it into damage on this tower, though, and Moo, okay. He is going to kind of commit a little bit here with the Elder Dragon form, but Speed's still around, so it's a little bit of damage, but it shouldn't be enough to really threaten that tier 1.
Now look at the positioning, look for the timings. That's what this is going to come down to, as well as what nouns can do on the other side of the map. Costabile is still waiting for his card to come, but they just need to not catch themselves off guard here. They need to be really cautious, and it's actually DogChamp that are going to be the ones going aggressive here. Ryoya just got his Blink Dagger. Does not want to break, but they're actually going on Gunner. Toss back.
Okay.
Can't snowball.
They're able to hit him up, but now he is going to get that snowball off. Ryoya, though, wants to pull him even further back. He's still trapped up inside the root. Z-Freak's trying to heal him up. It's going to work for now, but Gunner still kind of stuck in the river. He needs cover. He's not going to get it. The Winter's Curse comes in, but no one else is actually getting close enough to do anything, and now the Supernova on the high ground means that, well, I don't really know if they want to do this anymore. B9 tries to push across the river anyway. He gets taken down, and now they're in onto Yard. They got a long-duration static link, so there's a lot of damage coming out from Costabile, and they will win that fight, and DogChamp, I mean, that's really the kill you would want to try to get, and okay, they're going to look for a little bit more. They get the root into nothing because the BKB gets popped, and Stonebank needs to be a little bit careful as he was hit up by the Chaos Bolt, but nobody wants to take the fight under the Tier 1 tower, although as I say that, Husky is not under the Tier 1 tower at least, but he does still get caught out.
Yeah, and very scary timing from DogChamp there. Felt like they had Gunner for a second, caught in the middle of the river, but no secondary set of spells from B9, isn't able to keep him pinned down long enough, and unfortunately, he does just get to walk, but not a bad way to kind of walk out of that situation. You lose none of your cores. It's just the supports that end up getting punished, even though Ryoya was the one tanking so much damage there. But that's why Tiny's quite a nice hero with 21 armor naturally. Not really going to get to go down all too easy, but they have moved past the Razor BKB timing. Now Stonebank's going to have his own, and at first it probably felt a little bit forcing to make Stonebank TP mid, but at the same time, now they get to chill. This mid tower is still alive. It's so important for DogChamp. Every minute, it's more time wasted on the downside, time that they're not getting another objective here. This is a nice, pretty smoke, though. Looking for Stonebank in the jungle. This would catch them off guard. This is where you almost expect DogChamp to be smoking into their opponent's triangle, because if nobody's farming in there, Stonebank would not be here, but will this BKB reaction be everything? They need to get him on the tree line here, but move out the Blink Dagger. In his greed, he's going for the BKB before it, and as soon as he sees he doesn't get any of those last hits, actually, Stonebank got both of them, so it's just his reactions here and the smoke dissipating that now they know where nouns are. This is scary.
They're going to try and force the issue mid, but they are in some trouble. There's going to be the avalanche into the toss. The Arctic, or the Winter's Curse, is actually going to lock the Sabale down, but not for very long, and now they're starting to turn. B9 and Husky will trade themselves out, speed dropping low, but there's going to be the Cold Embrace to keep him alive. Stonebank comes in with that DOT, so they finish off Moo. Now they want in onto the Razor. BKB already used. Avalanche is going to be there to lock him down, but Husky quickly buying back, trying to rejoin the fight. Gunner coming in with the Snowball. They're going to lock down the Alchemist. Now they drop the Supernova as well. Really trying to get this Alch as best as they can. He's trying to run away. He does avoid the Supernova stun, but he is stuck now in the river. Can he get any kills with the Radiance? No, he cannot. Speed is going to try for Costabile, though. He doesn't get it, but Bloody Nine will.
Well, it's so close. Without that buyback from Husky, that game might just go to kind of sideways for you if you're nouns. You have that secondary stun. You actually get to walk away in the situation here. A situation where I think Ryoya as well, he won that BKB, he won the pullback, but okay, B9 goes down for free. That's unfortunate, but in that fight, you wanted that tossback on the Razor, but Costabile already had the suck. He already had another 150 damage. He ends up just tanking so much on that Tiny yet again, and you're robust. You're ready to do that role for your team, but unfortunately, the Aux BKB also fades away. You end up getting stunned, and then you get to see why this Phoenix is so strong here. The burn on the Alchemist post BKB, the Supernova on the other side of the river. It was the worst stage, the worst area they possibly could have fought in on the DogChamp side. Pulling that out to the low ground is just a really nice bait, honestly, from Nouns. They thought they could do that, but
they get him here.
No.
Keeping him stunned up. BKB comes out, but he's physically blocked. They need a little bit more damage, though, but there's Yarn blinking in. Gonna drop down that Winter's Curse. Stonebank gets the stun. Not really onto the hero he might have wanted, though, because Gunner is still trying to force this fight, but he doesn't have the damage. He's not going to get it. They root him up now with the Rod of Atos, and well, okay. Turns out Stonebank knew exactly what he was doing. I thought maybe he wanted to stun up the Tusk, but he really didn't need to be that afraid of the Tusk damage as... What is going on here? Costabile, okay. Pops the BKB, but B9 simply TPs away, and now Ryoya's coming in, and this is a BKB-less Razor. He is going to get caught, tossed back mid. Well, ET, Downs are looking a little shaky at the moment here. They are giving up quite a lot to their opponents, and, well, you're already going up against an Alchemist lineup. You don't really need to give him even more time, but that's exactly what they're doing.
Yeah, and they killed him once. They killed him before. That's the moment where you kind of, your jaw drops and you say, is this enough? Can we actually just start to win the game going forward here? But Costabile ends up breaking towards the mid tower. He gets the mid tower, but that 3-man from Nouns, they were so confident in getting that kill and then just not having enough damage, having Yarn come in, be that linchpin, and then suddenly the game turns. It's back on DogChamp now to be the ones with that huge lead. And then getting Costabile after the fact is just almost unacceptable there. Just him going for the solo kill on the Bloody 9. And already in this game, it's a 6-second BKB. Until Costabile farms up his refresher, that spell immunity is going to be sorely missed. And now it's farm time. You get to wait. You get to look for this next timing here. And unfortunately, for DogChamp, there are 3 BKBs now. The Tusk, the DK, everything's completed. But with this buildup from Moo, I feel like their lack of an initiator, aside from maybe Gunner just snowballing and going in, it's where you're really starting to see the limits of their draft. It's where this Pit Ward is being the hero that they exactly need. It's why they slammed it in that second phase.
Yeah, it's looking a little bit awkward because Nouns, it seems like they thought to themselves, we need to itemize to keep the team fights going. The problem is what they were doing before wasn't team fights. It was really just pickoffs. It was rotations being made with the numbers advantage. And as you said, you go for the BKBs instead of things like the blink. Now you don't have the initiation, so you can't get the pickoffs. And, well, like I said, you weren't actually taking full-on team fights before, so now that you're trying them, it's looking a little bit awkward as Moo. Gonna get tossed back. Didn't want to pop the BKB, but now he's stuck. He needs to try and make his escape. He's actually, well, kind of trying to fight this one out a little bit, but I don't know if this is a fight he really wants, and eventually he is going to fall back.
Yeah, both teams should probably disengage here. Ryoya just ended up eating a lot of damage. He doesn't have a BKB, so we might see him turn around, but Stonebank's got AC now. Now we get to see the ALK item timings coming into effect in this game. It's where you are playing ahead of the cores. It's where those supplemental items start to be very scary. Even rushed it this game over the Blink Dagger that he usually gets in between his BKB and his Radiance, but just saying, toss him to me, Ryoya. You be my man. You're going to do this job for me, and it's going to work out, and that's where, unfortunately for nouns, that counter initiation, the lack of counter initiation, Moo needs a hot sec, and because he gridded out for this BKB, and I say greed, but there's no shard, there's no blink dagger, there's no farming potential on this hero right now, and he's taking a lane from the rest of his cores. Gunner might get this kill. Yeah, free kill onto B9 here, but watch the fight, see how this progresses, and ooh, is that tossback really going to be working, though? That's a huge egg.
Should be able to bring it down at least, but does afford the rest of the nouns lineup an opportunity to fall back.
Still scary. It's still very reactionary from nouns, and well, this is blind. Really? Oh, no.
Oh, that's a nice attempt from Yarn, but it's not enough to save his teammate. Ryoya goes down, and how far do they really want to take this? Now Z-Freak's buying back. He doesn't have the ult, but he can still get in here with that Ray, and it might be enough to keep Gunner alive. No, he is going to go down. No buyback available, but nouns would love to turn. Costable has a decent bit of damage here. He's got the ult going, but well, up against Stonebank, a decent bit of damage is not really going to be enough, and at the end of the day, they do get the kill on to Ryoya. That is going to count for a lot, but now your Phoenix kind of has to set himself back a little bit, and you do still end up losing Gunner.
Yeah, still lose Gunner. Of course, B9 bought back as well, but yeah, it's a little bit of a crazy fight, and it's a game of chicken now, especially for the Tusk and the DK. You do not want to be casting your BKBs first. You do not want to end up in this long fight. It's exactly what Speed is ready for, and before that fight, Speed didn't have it in his inventory, but he's got a BKB of his own, and a 9-second BKB, a stronger BKB. It's where this next fight needs to be paced out perfectly from nouns. Otherwise, you're going to see a huge issue with their draft. Now, you do have this refresher almost done from Costabile. He's going to need to be, I think, that key player going in. And actually doesn't have his BKB bottom, but I don't know if Speed knows about the DK here. Doesn't want to overextend, but I feel like they know that support is coming. Nouns need to get out of bottom. They can't stick around here, even though Yarden's looking.
Okay, Moo. Nope, don't get baited, but he's not going to be able to avoid it. His BKB was ready, but he didn't pop it. He thought it was just Yaren, but well, it wasn't just Yaren at the end of the day. Perfect bait out from the Wyvern. Stonebank's there to act as the hammer, and yeah, Moo is still kind of struggling here, and that death sort of hurts him even more because he was starting to finally make some progress towards the Blink Dagger. That progress now gets reset a bit.
Yeah, and then back top lane, toss back, more plays. Yaren, so annoying on this hero, but I think it might be dying to Gunner in a second here. Yeah, it's just the cost, but the Fiend's Gate. And Gunner's actually gonna, he's trying to alley-oop, but
now can he get away? BKB is gonna last long enough, so there's no stun out from Stonebank, but Ryoya wants in. He's looking for his blink moment. They got the root there with the Rod of Atos, and Gunner is not in a good way here. He does have the snowball, so he will buy some time. But is it enough? No, it is not. He kills off Bloody Nine and then dies immediately after.
yeah, but they hold the BKBs. DogChamp are doing such a fine job of waiting. They're waiting out the BKBs. They're not getting overzealous with their initiation. And again, there is no initiation on nouns yet. We're still waiting for that Blink Dagger on Moo. I really don't know if this BKB rush that should be that timing that's supposed to set you ahead, it's just not coming through right now. Not to mention, Costabile popped his refresher from that fight, so for the next 2 minutes here, we're back to square one with this Razor. We're not going to feel that strength that he just picked up that they should be playing for. Now it's going to be DogChamp with yet again another opening. More time, more farm, a much bigger lead for them to amass right now. It's mid though, looks like a mistake from Speed.
Yeah, at least he doesn't pop the BKB, so he'll hold that 9-second charge, but maybe a little bit too far forward for him, and nice bit of money for the Noun side, but I don't know. They've got to be careful. I mean, part of you in the back of your mind can say, hey, the 7k lead is very significantly concentrated in the Alk, right? The old sort of Alk effect, net worth-wise, but the rest of the DogChamp lineup is not that far behind their counterparts, so really, do need to try and make something happen here if you're Nows, and you look at them. They've got eyes on the middle lane. They would love for Ryoya. They're going to jump in. There's a Walrus Punch. Can they kill him pre-BKB? Yes, they can. Now Kosabile actually hit up the static link onto Stonebank, so Stonebank has to try and fall back.
Now just wait, watch the timer on that static link, and actually found a pretty decent curse here, but Yaren, this is so scary.
Kosabile dropping low. Stonebank's back in. BKB's activated. Gunner tries to get on the back line. They'll take Yaren out, but can they get the Razor out of the fight? He's just ticking down to the burn. The Reality Rift from Husky, though, actually pulls Stonebank away. Now they're going to go for the Supernova, and Stonebank's just straight up dead. Kind of forgot about the rest of his team there, as Stonebank just goes way too far. No backup. B9 was the only one who could have helped him, and he was really half the map away by that point. And okay, that's the kind of play that Nouns needed, and kind of need to get more than once, but at least for now, it buys him some time.
I'm just, my mouth is wide open. That's such a sick play from Husky. He pulls him away. He doesn't die to the Radiance Burn, doesn't die to the Acid Spray, and really just DogChamp playing so much underneath this ward here placed by Nouns. They took this fight. It's the same ward that ended up killing Speed, and they just don't learn their lesson. And they also just, they try to hold, they try to play that patient Dota they've been playing up until this point, but it feels really spread out. And Moo goes wild on the backline. He got his Blink Dagger before that fight was breaking out after the Speed kill, and now immediately into the pit. It's where DogChamp's easy victory. You start to feel it fading, and now everything that they could have played around, refreshers up, it starts to feel like Nouns, they're amassing everything they need here. Not to mention, Ags coming up on deck here for Gunner, and then suddenly your Alchemist needs to be so careful. It's where you could just get kicked back into a DK stun. It's that almost horn toss into Earthspike play. So many patches dominated far ago, but it's that same idea of you just catch him without anything, without any support, without any save. It's where, again, the pressure's going to be on Yaren, but in the meantime, this is your buildings. These are your tier 2s getting taken here. All you can get in return is gold on DogChamp's side.
They're going to have to sort of sit back and, to a certain extent, watch this happen, at least for a little while. So, Nouns, well, this is kind of the way that they had to play it to a certain extent, right? With the Alchemist so far ahead, you need to try and bait them into a position where it's less about what you do and more about forcing out a mistake, and that certainly will count as a mistake. So, if you're DogChamp, I don't think you need to necessarily panic. As you said, things are getting a little bit dicey, but you still have the lead. You still know what you need to do here, as long as you don't massively overextend like that again. I don't know if you're going to get caught out, but they do get caught. Speed is alone. Ryoya is going to try to jump in here to help, though. But while that's happening, Kosabile is very low in HP. They don't want to use the Aegis this way, so Gunner has to come in, dropping the snowball down. It's going to be enough for now, but there's going to be that Winter's Curse that does get through the first life. But are they in any position to set up for a second? No, not really. Meanwhile, Moo caught out Yaren, hits him with a stun. Cold Embrace is really not going to matter.
Yeah, and they do get the reset. It's a cheap play. It's not expensive for them. They just lose a Wyvern. They get the Aegis. They get to walk away. But at the same time, Nouns did not really use a lot there. And now that they're the ones initiating with this smoke, the fact that they don't have BKBs here, this could be a very hard punish if DogChamp are not extremely careful here. This smoke could just die right here and now. It could just get avoided, and it looks like DogChamp might get lucky on that leg, but that's where Nouns, they are hunters. They are raring to go. They're ready. They're looking for this victory.
I think Nouns are also very much aware of the fact that when Yaren is either dead or without his ult, DogChamp are significantly more vulnerable. Their core heroes still have the exact same amount of health, but so many of the teamfight wins that DogChamp have come off the back of Winter's Curse into a turnaround. So, while Yaren is unavailable, they have the means to look for plays, but that time around the smoke will miss. But they're still, as you said, trying to sort of be on the offensive. They would love to just take control of the game right now.
Yeah, well, looking at this mid tower, Speed's being very careful, does not want to give up his life in a similar situation. And really, in that past jump, Yarn was so much more prepared. But even when Yarn gets off the Golden Praise to save whoever's getting Chaos Bolted by Husky, with the Spirit Vessel in the Sunray, it still hurts so much. It's where I really do wonder if we see him maybe ease back on the Cold Embraces. I'd love him to finish off this Lotus Orb, and then that can be your solution as opposed to putting them under, because it really is a death sentence. It's a situation where if that can be the connection, maybe from Moo, you could just die after the fact and then get nothing off. But that's also where, with the game kind of quieting down here, getting a lot of these supplemental items on both sides, but I think in a fashion that does favor DogChamp slightly. You're getting some pretty big items. Just finished off the Swift Blink from Stonebank, a little bit more damage, a little bit more attack speed to work with. Speed, got the Force Taft. We've got Lotus Orbs. Rioya is really transitioning out of that core role and more into a support situation, just really because of how strong that item is in this game, especially versus Nouns. It could completely mess up their initiation here, or, again, force out the BKBs early, which is exactly what you want. DogChamp, they want to take that fight, force out a reaction from their opponents, then back up, reset here. This is a really great wrap here. No vision placed beforehand, and they found Husky first, but
Brillia pops the BKB. Stonebank is now in, but there's going to be a defensive snowball pulling them away. Sable, meanwhile, activates his own BKB and tries to push in, but there's going to be that Winter's Curse. Moo dropped low. Sunry's actually keeping him up, though, long enough to actually activate his own BKB, and now the Supernova will be deployed. The kick actually pushes the Elk away from the egg. He's not going to be able to get the right clicks in. They lose Rioya. Speed is now stunned up as well, alongside Bloody Nine. And what a kick from Gunner. If the Alk is in, I think he takes the egg down. He didn't really have the attack speed slow onto him prior to that Sun being deployed, so it does mean you don't kill the Alchemist, but it allows you to take the rest of the fight.
yeah, and that was the first time the DogChamp, they broke their rule. They went for the initiation beforehand. Rioya pops the first BKB of the fight. Then the Alchemist is forced into it very soon after. And then suddenly, you can't stick around. You can't take a fight that goes on this long. If you are not killing those first two heroes, it was a great snowball from Gunner to stop any of that aggression. Then that happens with the egg. Then you get the kickback. Then you can no longer stay on focus. Is where the BKBs are just as important for DogChamp as they are for Nouns. And they blink. They lose the game of chicken, and even though you had that Spider Legs out running away from Costa Bile, they waste his first link. It just doesn't matter, because he has the refresher. He's ready for the second round. DogChamp, they don't have too many more of those. They don't have too many more mistakes like that left in them. That's where Nouns can finally look to take probably the win. It's where finally they've got enough speed underneath them where all it takes is a few dead heroes, and then suddenly the game is on its head.
Take a look at the graphs here at this point. Net worth, experience, and win probability have all shifted into Noun's hands, and that is a massive red flag. If you're DogChamp, you have the Alchemist, and you are still behind on net worth. That is just the nightmare scenario. So is this. If you're Bloody Nine, just kicked all the way back into 4, and, well, Bloody Nine's sort of been the punching bag all day, so he's probably used to it. Doesn't mean he likes it all that much as he gets picked off again.
Yeah, and it's those little picks where they're playing on the other side of the map. They still have this great vision control. They have the gem on Husky. It feels like everything is starting to come up Nouns right now. They're not able to get any control, really. DogChamp are forced to play on this bottom area of the map, and it's something that they'll take. It allows their cores to break away towards that bot lane, but that's where, once we get these defensive items, are we going to scale? Can we actually decide to hold this one out here? This is not the Stonebank Alk we saw earlier versus Wildcard. This is not balling out of control. This is not keeping that lead. And if you, let's say, subtract the net worth lead coming from just being an Alchemist, put him dead even with the Razor, you could say it's an 8k gold lead for Nouns right now, because it does feel like that bottom end is just that much higher. It's where even though Husky is about neck and neck, I just feel like Nouns' team fight, Nouns' power just might be exceeding DogChamp here. It's where, again, execution-wise, they need to get so many things out. They need to force the reaction from Nouns, and then DogChamp can take the fight here. Or they need to blow somebody up. Unfortunately, though, Nouns are just tanky. They're hard to kill. You can't just get that pop, and it's another fact. It's an unfortunate fact. It's how they lost in Game 2.
BKB was finished off by the DK there, so he has the Black Dragon form. Even harder to deal with now, and that's just kind of been the name of the game here for Nouns. Make themselves harder and harder to just quickly kill. They haven't even really built up significant amounts of damage. It's just they're able to outlast their opponents a lot of the time here. So, well, DogChamp are going to have their work cut out for them as Husky is trying to scout a bit here with the Invis Rune. He's a courier, but to the Wyverns, probably not the most valuable pickoff, especially considering he'd be blowing his cover.
Yeah, really would love Lotus Orbs, would love Halberds. We did just finish off an Abyssal Blade on our Alchemist here, so maybe that is our Chain Stun. Maybe that's who we decide to kind of mess up here, but it's where DogChamp, they need to execute at an incredibly high level. They need the multi-jump. They need to get onto really both the Tusk and the Phoenix at the same time, because you're not killing someone who's getting Sun Raid and Wraith Pact while you have that threat of the snowball just in the back of your mind here. Even if Gunner doesn't get the snowball off, let's say his blink is getting disabled, kicking that right-click target away, it's where you wonder if this Tusk is just too good of an answer versus the 4 Protect 1, and well, they're going back out. It's where you almost wonder to yourself if Rioya was able to transition better into a carry role, this would be a little bit closer, and they wouldn't be so all-in on Stonebank, but that's exactly what they are. They are into the Alchemist. They need him to kind of carry them here. And we'll pick the smoke. Oh, the kickback!
Ooh, they got the
into the DK stun!
There's a nice Winter's Curse, though, trying to buy time. Stonebank does get off the ult and the BKB, but he is starting to fall back. He needs time to heal himself up. The Nouns want to push forward. Kosable, though, not able to catch in time. Swift Blink does get the Alk back into base, and dodging a bullet there for DogChamp, and a lot of resources committed for Nouns that they're potentially going to have to sort of wait to come back up. But ET, that didn't miss by much. Stonebank was so close to dead. If Yaren doesn't just immediately go for that Winter's Curse play, I think they take him down.
Yeah, and all it took was maybe Husky, once he gets an item, like let's say the Blink Dagger, a stun in between, and then that is your game blown wide open right there. And that was incredibly well orchestrated from Nouns, and it almost worked. And that would have been a dieback on Alk. He would not be able to buy back in this situation. He bought out for that Abyssal Blade so that he could get aggressive, but I really thought that's also where Nouns, just with the vision game, they did not see that coming at all from DogChamp. That was very, very close here, but this is a by-the-book smoke. They know that Roche will be respawning in 10 seconds here. They want to get out onto the map, but that's where Nouns also by the books. Just have the vision, have the control on the high ground here. It's going to be a fight for the wards, otherwise DogChamp are going into this one blind, and I don't know if they can make that happen. Buybacks also looking pretty healthy, but they would love to trade away the Tiny and the Pit Ward first, but there's the ward placed.
Quick jump in. They're going to try to take down B9 as fast as they can. Stonebank, though, does get in onto the back line, but is a little bit alone for the time being. Does have to be incredibly careful, but it's actually speed that they're going to jump in on. There's the Walrus Punch, forces out the BKB. Stonebank, though, going in, looking for the fight. Abyssal Blade stun down onto Gunner, but he doesn't have the damage for this. Rioya, though, comes in, goes for the toss back, so Stonebank is still going to fight, but now Supernova comes through. Can they keep mid-arm's length, though? No, they can't. Sea Freak will fall, and at this point, Nouns really are starting to run out of damage. They need to be able to take this fight. It's not going fantastically. Stonebank is somehow still alive. They're actually going to kick him away just so that he ends up self-stunning. Z-Freak ends up, well, Icarus diving into that stun, but it won't matter. Gunner rejoins the fight, finds the kill. Triple kill for Rioya on the other side, though, as DogChamp are still desperately trying to find whatever kills that they can, but now it looks like they'll finally call it quits. They recognize without the Alchemist, they can't go any further, but the TP's been canceled. Rioya hit by the Walrus Punch, pulled in by the Reality Rift. Kostable's going to be able to take him down, as it's actually Gunner who gets the kill, but the point remains, they get 2 of those main cores. They could push for Roche if they wanted to, ET. Do they want to? They're kind of pushing the lanes out a little bit first.
Yeah, I feel like as soon as Husky scouts it out, it might just be the call. Yep, that's exactly what they're going to do. Only the second Roche, so no Ags, no Refresher, even though that would be so good, especially if you're pushed to Belay. But it was almost a great fight from DogChamp, getting the egg in that situation, forcing the buyback out of that Phoenix, but really, that's what ended up going wrong for them. The wrong heroes died. You weren't able to trade your life of the Tiny or the Pit Ward into your swing, into the pit. The Alchemist going down in the fashion he did, and it's a great kick from Gunner that gets him out, and then he self-stuns, then he gets vesseled. The supports buy back on the Noun side. They play their advantage. You can give Husky the Aegis. Yeah, sure, why not? Do whatever you want if you're Nouns, but with the way that fight was so hard carried by Gunner, I mean, at first it looked a little bit sketchy because he did hit that snowball onto the Lotus Orb, didn't see it from Yaren, but then they've used the curse, they've used all their BKBs. Rioya can't show back into the fight. They did such a good job of keeping Kostabile away from the rest of the lineup, but it's where, again, post BKBs, DogChamp do not look great. It's where you have spells like the Dragon Tail, like the Chaos Bolt, like the Walrus Punch, where you are so vulnerable to just getting picked off, getting pushed out. And unfortunately, without any focus on Kostabile aggressively, it's not really a worry in his mind. He lost maybe 500 HP in that fight. Nobody was dealing with the Razor because they just simply couldn't.
Nouns have started to swing a little bit more momentum. To be honest, ET, I'm not 100% on board still with the Husky Aegis. I mean, I know he used his buyback, so they would like to keep him up in the fight for longer, but you're kind of assuming that your cores are going to... Okay, they're going to live quite nicely as they do make the jump in onto speed. Can they keep him locked down? Yaren, well, at this point, the Winter's Curse isn't really enough to save the day anymore. Speed still goes down, and Yaren might actually fall here as well. The snowball is going to get reflected. Now Gunnar says, okay, just pull you as far back as we can possibly go, and yeah, Yaren is trapped.
It's so stupid. The Wraith Pact, he had Blink. You could blink out a snowball, but the pulse on the ground just ends up disabling it. Stupid item.
Everybody, I don't know. They don't really like it, but they also know that they have to pick it up just because it's too damn strong. So, well, attempt there made by Nouns to try and push the high ground, but they do sort of get those buybacks on the DogChamp side. Good news is the buybacks stop the push. Bad news is there are some expensive buybacks on some very important heroes, so they now need to try and do something. They smoke up, but Husky's right there to just completely shut that down, and now, if you're DogChamp, do you really want to keep on trying for this? B9 doesn't have a choice. He's going to get kicked back into the fight. Not able to finish him off just yet, but over to the east, Kosabale is dropping pretty low here. He's going to try to get out with the snowball. Snowball's actually going to pull him back into the fight, but it does buy time for Kosabale to pop that... pop that refresher, but he's still low. Needs to be able to get away. He's being tracked down, but it buy a lot of time and dish out a lot of extra damage, but now I don't really know if they can go any further forward. Husky is going to get taken down a second time, but while all of this is going down, Stonebank is completely alone over on the other side of this fight. He's going to stun himself up here, but can Gunnar really do this? Does he have the damage? I'm not really sure he does, but he's not going to really be able to walk away either. There's going to be another Winter's Curse coming in. Meanwhile, Z-Freak just tries to dive in, hoping to create some sort of distraction, moves back into the fight as well, but his BKB is not available, so he's rooted up inside the Pit of Malice, just has to hold his ground. Not going to be able to do so, but it gets Gunnar away, but ET, that's just too costly a fight on the Nouns side, and that's a fight that they take having broken the smoke on their opponents, and they were really the ones to dictate when it got started.
And they got a little bit of revenge. They were able to actively use their buybacks, and Stonebank getting the 2 concoctions that he got off. It's why Costabile was that low, and I don't know who's popping his Lincolns, but whoever is doing a fantastic job. It's so many times, and I think it could be speed with the Psychic Headband, but it just feels like he is getting stunned. He's getting clipped by a little bit too much here, and that's where, unfortunately, you don't have a Lotus Orb on your side. You don't have that same reflection play that DogChamp have kind of set themselves up for. And, well, everybody's dead still. Is this going to be the high ground? They've got Glyph. Doesn't feel like it should be much, and it's not like Stonebank has a Divine or anything, but you kind of need to start sweating a little bit if you're Nouns. And, of course, Gunnar's here. He can kick back a hero. He can be very obnoxious and do it relatively safely, but even then, I feel like he's a little bit concerned about making that type of play. With the Razor up in 2, though, I feel like this is just mid-racks. Gotta be careful, though. The stun.
He did get the kick. Stonebank's going to get stunned up. There's going to be the Walrus Punch. Another play pushing him even further back. They're keeping him stunned up, but they need to get the kill, and Yaren is going to be there to sort of reset this fight. Stonebank wants to TP away, but the Walrus Punch, the kick back into the fountain. Oh, DogChamp, you may have just made a mistake. The XD from Stonebank, that's the only response you can have to that series of events.
Oh no, he has buyback. That's something to play around, but will you need 2 outs to win this game is going to be the real question here, or can you afford to ride this tight line? And I really expected Yaren to be more ready with the curse there, but it was so fast. He did it in Snowball. You could cast the Walrus Kick in Snowball, which I don't even know. How is that fair? I don't know. But it's just too perfect. It's with really the buyback on the DK is what solidified it. That's what let the Chainstone of the Chaos Bolt land. But at the same time, a hero play from Yaren to go for that curse, and he ends up getting a 4-man curse, but it's just Gunnar who is just a little too good. He's a little bit too ready for that. And with 50 seconds on your Alk, they'd love to hold without expending it, but can only imagine that you're going to lose your Glyph here. They might even look to try and press forward, but very interestingly, Nouns are taking the waves instead. They're taking the rest of the control here. It kind of makes sense. They want to get the last tier 2. They don't want to risk anything here, and they should know that DogChamp are scared. They're the team without the buybacks. They can't afford to be out of the base with any of their supports or their offlaner.
It's going to go for the slow and steady approach, which, I mean, fair enough, right? Because when they went for the head of the snake that last time in the east side jungle, they ended up losing that fight pretty decisively. So go for the play that obviously can't win you the game, but at least puts you in a more advantageous position.
Well, and it does calm down for a little bit here. I have to see what big items are coming out. It feels like a 60-minute game, in all honesty, but it's kind of strange. It's only 47 minutes in. You know, you'd be wanting to think about 60-minute items right now, just for the chaotic aspect of that part of Dota. But at the same time, what are we seeing? What are we gonna get growth-wise? It really, the saddest part of this game is still Ryoya. Kind of has no great way to go. Could look for an Octarine core, his 25, just have Avalanche spam, maybe, if that's the way he decides to take things. Would also maybe be interested in seeing him pick up an item like the Hex, just so that way you're already not doing that much damage. Maybe double down on your ability to disable some of these heroes, and of course, Hex in late game situations is a terrifying item to play against, and really, something like that would be great, because as of right now, nobody is able to put a finger on Gunner. This Tusk is just doing way too much. But also at the same time, nouns need to be careful. They used quite a lot of buybacks before. Their supports are coming back up, but especially for Mu, cannot afford to lose this DK. He is so much of their team fight. He's so much of what makes Gunner feel broken is those kicks into the Dragon Tail. If they do lose him early, you could see the game swing in the exact opposite direction.
This is a bit of an interesting one, sort of looking at it. Costabile opted for the attack speed at 25 over the static link charges, which... I don't know. On the one hand, the attack speed is going to be more useful in terms of immediate damage, but I feel like if you can basically guarantee static link with 2 charges and your refresher, then, well, Stonebank on the other side would almost assuredly be losing a significant portion of his damage, no matter how many of those he dodged out. But, well, I don't know. The Razor Offs for the attack speed, which, as I said, does mean he can just sort of smack anybody a lot faster and a lot more efficiently.
Well, and at the end of the day, right, you could take the pragmatic approach, say he's getting a free Hyperstone, you know, that's a 2,000 gold talent right there. But I think another aspect of it is, are you going to get 4 links off in a fight? Do you need to be more of a carry? That kind of mentality where Costabile has a lot of defensive items. I think getting anything that's going to allow him to do more damage is going to be very important. Not to mention, they do need to get buildings. At the end of the day, Nouns need to kill the Ancient. That is still the objective of the game here. But this smoke on smoke, right into Nouns' vision. They do not want to lose Yarn first, but Blink's out.
Okay. Just a big old reset, really, from both sides. Somebody threw their Wraith Pact out there. Looks like it's the DogChamp one. So, oh, there's going to be the kickback. They've caught Stonebank. Can actually kill him, though. It wasn't that much of a knockback. Looks like we're going to reset again here, potentially, but Stonebank does want to push in. He's looking for the CK, able to force staff himself away, then kick comes out again, so Husky will survive. Meanwhile, on the other side of the fight, Costabile, he's actually trying to push in. They've spotted Yarn. They would love to just kill him off, but look at the tossback from Ryoya, acting as that defensive anchor, just keeping Yarn out of the fight. They need to be able to regroup around him. Do still have the Winter's Curse. They're going to smoke up immediately, and I'll see what they can do. Black Dragon form, third of its duration.
Very scary. I don't even know if they saw each other there, but DD on Stonebank, and they will scout that out, but terrifying. What a tossback. Game-winning tossback. If they win this game, Ryoya just did something magical with that tiny. Yarn was dead to rights there. There was no way he was escaping. And actually,
They're going to jump in. Can they kill Yarn off? They're going to kick him back, keeping him isolated. Tries to go for the play with the Cold Embrace, and it is working for now. He's not dead yet, but another stun's coming in, and Yarn will be taken down. Stonebank, though, into the fight. Abyssal Blade stun onto Gunner, trying to bring him down. Has to Walrus Punch to create the separation. Now the Supernova's going on the low ground, so Stonebank is in trouble. He's going to get kicked back. He's stuck inside of that Supernova radius. They're going to be able to stun him up. Can they do more damage? Snowball in. Walrus Punch is going to be there. Ryoya blinking forward, though. Avatos takes Gunner down. Buys back immediately. Stonebank, though, still stuck in the river. Cold Embrace buying time. Yarn buys back, drops the curse. And Stonebank simply will not die. He continues to stand tall here, but Costabile trying to get on that backline. Pops the first ult, gonna refresh, goes for the second. Gunner back into the fight, gets the Walrus Punch off. Stonebank's taken down. Yarn gets kicked away. The Snowball is still onto him, but at this point, DogChamp are just too scattered. They're buying back on everyone that they have left, but they need to be able to regroup, and Ryoya is kind of the one who's stuck really on the opposing side of the map, and I don't know if he's going to be able to get away. Yarn, meanwhile, Cold Embraces himself. Snowball, though, is going to stun him up, so they do take him down a second time. Now they want more, but the Unstable Concoction was deployed. Z-Freak locked down. Another Snowball in from Gunner into the Walrus Punch, into the kick. Keeping the Alchemist out of the fight. Husky now buying back, rejoining as well. And I think we're going to take a moment to breathe here, ET, as both sides will back away. that fight just would not end.
I don't even know where to break it down. Then they get the high ground at the end of the day on DogChamp and finally get to kill this pesky ward. But again, the hero plays really keeping Yarn alive. Yarn gets to buy back, rejoin the fight. It was only a minute on both him and B9's CDs. They get to rejoin. Have to buy back on Stonebank, which is very unfortunate. But you also have to buy back on Gunner. And now, if you kill this Tusk in this game, the entire Nouns Foundation starts to shut down. It's where, unfortunately, you don't have a way to defend Egg anymore. It's where we could see them just dogpile on top of it, even though it still is just Stonebank in terms of what he's able to do. I'm terrified. If they ever find Gunner in the next few minutes here, it's why he has an Andis queued up, because he knows that's the only way to lose this game, is if he goes down right now, they push onto the high ground. It's where getting that mid melee racks before it opens up the gates for that immediate 360. And with Roche respawning, do you feel confident enough? At the same time, you lose Stonebank, the game ends here. Losing both the Phoenix and the Wyvern, this is a very scary position to be in. I feel like DogChamp should be a little bit more pressed here, but it's where the pit, it's so obnoxious. He's level 25 as well. That Pit of Malice is very tough to deal with, but they need to be perfect with this jump here. Otherwise, we could see another toss in. Moo!
They get the initial toss onto Speed, but now they're going to kick Ryoyo away. It's Stonebank, though, who's trying to join the fight, but the Walrus Punch is going to lock him down. Meanwhile, to the north, Speed and B9 trying to regroup, but they need someone to go in on. Right now, they don't really have it. Kostable, in the meantime, got a very nice static link onto Stonebank, sucking away a lot of that damage. Stonebank, though, is still alive, but he's going to get stunned up. Husky hits him with the first stun. There's going to be the follow-up with that Snowball, but Stonebank is holding his ground, channeling out that stun for as long as he can, but he doesn't even actually need it. Moo is going to go down, but Kostable is back into the fight. Stonebank actually self-stunned, but there's going to be the Cold Embrace, buying him some time. Husky comes back in for another stun, but the Lotus Orb is going to reflect quite a lot of this, so Gunner has to be careful. Can't afford to go down here. He's rooted up on the other side of the fight, but the Ice Shards are going to buy him some time. He's actually going to look to go right back in. He wants Blade 9, gets the kickback onto the CM into the river, and they will be able to find that kill. This fight is getting just as complicated as the previous one, ET, and neither side really wants it to go any further, but Nouns are the ones with control of the pit.
Yeah, and Stonebank is dead there, but because of the Lotus Orb, because of Yaren re-initiating, getting back in there, the only unfortunate aspect of that fight is he did end up cursing a Lincoln Sphere on Kostabile, but he needed to do something. He felt like the game was about to end right there. Without, again, those hero plays coming from the Wyvern, it's so complicated. It's a very difficult game, but at the same time, that was without Egg. That was with Nouns arriving late on a lot of their heroes there. I feel like they kind of have this one. They're feeling very confident now. And without B9, of course, the CM, you're not missing all too much, maybe missing out on that Wraith Pact, but honestly, both sides are so scared. And with the buyback of the DK, the window for buybacks to affect this game is just so long. For the next 7 minutes, anybody dying could just spell disaster for these sides. And especially, they find their way onto these stuns. Every aspect of Nouns, they play off each other so well. They need that follow-up. If they lose Husky early on, it's a disaster. If they lose Gunner, it's a terrible state of events here. But that's also where they can't force to go in. And Yaren, yeah. Whew.
Does get away, but that does mean he TP's out, so he is far enough away where Nouns feel like they can just rush into the Roche Pit, and they should be able to get this. There's not a fast enough response coming in from DogChamp. And who takes what now? Aegis, Cheese, Pressure... Divvy things up here. It's Moo who takes the Aegis. Actually, Moo kind of grabbed everything there, so he's holding on to that for the time being. On the other side of things, Stonebank has an Ags. Yep.
Or the Wyvern?
Yep.
Okay. Now, Yaren is fast. Look at him go. It's, you know, arguably not the most impactful Ags, maybe, in the entire game, but that'll give him a little bit more confidence to play with. Maybe if Binan had a BKB, you could see him passive over to the CM, because that's a pretty great Axe as well. But at the same time, Yarn's positioning has been so important in these fights. Now that he's got free pathing, now that he's actually able to split himself out, could be a little bit of an uptick here. But I think a large part of it is also that Stonebank is pretty much done here. He buys a Moonshot for himself, and then it is time to get at those Ags for each other here. And speaking of which, Ryoya also did go for the Octarine Core. Didn't go for the Avalanche cooldown, though, so we're not going to see the crazy Ava after Ava after Ava, but instead has that chain potential, has the ability to maybe stun up a hero for 3 or 4 seconds without anybody able to do anything. But man, this game just keeps on giving. And now, I joked about it before, but that was 10 minutes ago. Might actually see those tier 5s come out before any team makes a definitive play.
Meanwhile, in terms of the defensive front for Gunner, he was able to get that Aeon Disc up and running, so going to be significantly harder to bring him down, and this is around the time, his buyback's only 2 minutes out, so might start saving up for that play as well, as Nouns are looking for a high ground attempt here. They don't want to overcommit at this point, but who will send the illusions in? Only problem is, there we go. The illusions aren't going to do quite as much damage as the actual DK, but they can at least threaten, maybe force out some sort of response from the DogChamp side.
Oh, and you get that corrosive breath. Unfortunately, Moo is not being nearly as sneaky in the bottom lane. They get to scum out even before that, so wasn't any hero sticking around in the first place, but they get to realize that this is just a peaceful retreat. They're not getting any revenge just yet here, but with the DK showing bottom, makes sense. Go for his smoke, try to get a 4v5 situation going for you. I do wonder if we're just going to see Moo immediately try and rejoin his team here, but not like he has boots of travel. He will have to make the walk-in. That's why DogChamp are able to claim quite a bit of space here. They should know what's going on, though. I think that second Firestorm is kind of a smoking gun. They should be a little bit aware of where at least the pit ward is on the map, but if the pit ward's out of the map, then something is going on. You have to be careful with your nouns.
It's getting so tense now in these situations. Neither side wants to overstep, go too early, make the move that sort of costs you the game, but, well, somebody's got to break the silence, right? Somebody's got to do something at some point. As Yaren, a little bit close there, but he is able to jump away.
Very hard grab in. Okay. They're baiting. They think it's real.
Well, they quickly find out that it's not. Good news, at least, is that they didn't use too much there, and Moo may have popped the dragon for him, but it is going to last long enough where if they find another opportunity, he's still going to have that available to him, but it doesn't really seem like Nouns have a great grasp on where their opponents are right now, or if they do know where their opponents are, they're not really looking to push right into them.
Yeah, and, well, unfortunately for DogChamp, they want to stay out of the base for another minute here so they can just farm up their tier 5s before the high ground is back underneath threat, but that's where Moo can do this. Just puts another illusion up there, puts another illusion on the other ranged racks. We should stick out to the corrosive breath, and, well, it's time to get back into the base, and unfortunately, 45 seconds to those tier 5s. Now DogChamp need to make another expenditure. It's where they would love to have at least one hero still outside of the base, but they do really need to make this retreat happen, and, well, here we go. Tier 5s. We'll have to see if the big ones get picked up here. I think the Book of the Dead, always a huge one. If we get to see the Wand of the Brine, or whatever that item is called, the Book of Shadows, I believe, is always a killer as well. Then you basically have a secondary Cold Embrace, maybe even a better Cold Embrace, I guess you could say, with the Untargetable. Huge items can be picked up that really just kind of settle the game here. Not to mention 25s across the board, especially looking over at Yaren's, having that Splitter Blast stun with how many spells he's getting off in these fights. All it takes is a little bit of disable to catch you, and then suddenly these team fights just keep on getting more and more confusing, more and more complicated and complex, where you never know what's going to happen. In Fallen Sky, Giant's Ring, we're getting some fan favorites in already.
All right. Question is, who takes what at this point, as Giant's Ring will go over to Stonebank. There's that Book of the Dead getting picked up by, I do not know who, actually. Might have just sent it back.
Mirror Shield.
To the stash.
That's a crazy one.
Mirror Shield picked up. Arcanist armor coming out here too. As you said, ET, these are potentially just straight up game changing. They will put the shield on Costable as well, who, yeah, is probably absorbing the highest number of spells. Maybe Gunner is getting hit by a kind of comparable amount, but Gunner does not want to give up the Spell Prism. The amount of cooldown reduction it gives him, it's really just too valuable for him to give up, because he needs that constant sort of punch, snowball, kick, repeat sort of combination to work with. But never mind.
Yeah.
Whoops. They'll just give him the shield anyway.
Yeah, I like the shield. It's just one of those situations where, in addition to these tier 5s getting picked up, if you get to hide these items, if you get to wait for the next fight, it's where it is the determining factor in some of these games. And Book of Shadows, great defensive tool, will also get picked up, but with this Book of the Dead, and now you've got Necro Creeps in the game. Hey guys, how we doing? But it's a split push thing that you have to show now. You have to appreciate, and do they know about the Mirror Shield? Do they get Reflect Cursed? It's where this could be a huge turn.
Hmm. They are trying to sort of hold their fire initially, just in case, and I do believe they know that it's there now after it reflects the frostbite. So they should know, but just because they know doesn't necessarily mean they're going to actually be able to deal with it, right? It's similar to the Lotus or the Lincolns. Got to be very careful to pop it first.
And Stonebank, look at that. Stygian Deso. I mean, now he does damage. Now he really hurts if he's able to stay on a target. It's chaotic. It's chaos. I also want to highlight Costabile getting the force boots, so he is just a consistently max movement speed hero across the map, one of the crazier ones. But the clash, they're outside of the base. Look at Yaren, look at the wards.
Stun onto Ryoya. They're going to knock him back for now. He's got that Giant's Ring, though, so he's so incredibly tanky. But over to the other side of the fight, B9, well, obviously not very tanky. He gets taken down. CM dead. Does have a buyback. Everybody has a buyback at this point. But, well, DogChamp, if there was one hero you could kind of afford to lose here, that would be it. But now with the man advantage, do Nouns look to push back in? 25 seconds for the Elder Dragon form.
We're looking for tier 5s though still, and Ryoya has to be careful, but they're still missing 2 T5s on the DogChamp side. It's where I almost wish that Yaren could be able to make that play towards the jungle just so he's able to get anything, because if he finds one of those 2 items, could be some massive game changers. They get a Mirror Shield of their own. You imagine the Mirror Shield reflection on one of Gunner's spells, it could spell disaster.
I don't want to imagine that. That's just pure carnage.
He TP'd bottom, kind of making Yaren sweat a little bit, but the DogChamp aren't able to leave the base. They're also losing some of their towers here. Just the burn, the corrosive breath. It's very obnoxious, but nothing has been taken that cannot regen. That still stands for them.
Well, it's not an ideal situation, just sitting here and waiting to see what happens for DogChamp, but they don't have much of a choice. Meanwhile, Roche is back up here, and we got everything. Aegis, Cheese, Refresher Shard, Ags. Who takes the Ags at this point? Costabile already sort of ate one for himself. Gunner did the same, so kind of has to go on to one of the supports here. I suppose we'll have to wait and find out. Roche very nearly dead. No response from DogChamp, so they're going to get this for free.
Yeah, and, well, Ags could go over to the Phoenix, and that's where you have that incredible level of playmaking potential where suddenly, do we stick him in with me? Do I allow my entire team to die because I brought somebody in and we just killed the egg? But I honestly think that with how the eggs have been getting off in this game, could see that reset actually come out here, but that's where DogChamp, with that Roche being taken, made a break for it. Fallen Sky picked up. I do believe they are now currently out. Yeah, they picked up everything, got the Seer Stone as well. Something for, I think, B9 probably to play with. I think he's actually sending out, yeah, gets the Fallen Sky, which is some interesting playmaking potential coming in from your CM here, but very important item pickup actually from Stonebank this late in. He's got the Revenant Brooch. To the odd man out, you'd say, wait, why does he have a Revenant Brooch? But converting your attacks into that magic damage with how low these BKBs are, that could be your way to kill a 4,000 HP target. That could be the way that you change this game around for the better if you're DogChamp. And that is an opening onto Gunner, onto Razor. If you're unable to really check yourself before that fight happens, is where that burst could actually come through from that item.
Oh boy. We're really getting into the thick of it now, ET. This is about as tense as it gets in this situation, but problem is it's tense because DogChamp don't really have anything to do other than just sort of wait this out and play defensively, and at this point, I don't know, Nouns still don't really have to commit much for this. Uh-oh, move. Okay. In a bit of trouble, but he's able to force staff himself away to safety. Gunner now tries to jump in, gets the kick. B9 pushed out of the base. They did throw down a Winter's Curse there, so that is going to disrupt this momentarily, but B9 is still in some trouble. He's trying to force staff himself back in. A second force staff will come through. He's not dead yet, but there's going to be the snowball coming through, but they actually caught Gunner. They're going to toss him back. Can they kill him off, though? BKB comes out. Gunner trying to get away. Abyssal Blade stun, locking him down, though. Gunner's dead. Does he buy back? B9 has used his. Nouns would love to just walk away here without having to commit this, but Ryoya doesn't want to let them go. He's pushing in, but maybe he's pushing a little bit too far. Gunner's going to buy back. TP's onto his teammate to get the kickback into the Walrus Punch. They're actually just keeping Ryoya way too isolated from his teammates, but Ryoya is so damn tanky, it's going to take him a little while to bring him down, but eventually they will find this kill. Supernova channeling out there on the ramp keeps the rest of DogChamp from coming to the defense of their teammate. Find the kill onto the tiny ET, but that's another hero with buyback available, so DogChamp don't have to necessarily be hitting that panic button just yet, but boy, even a single death is really just enough to potentially turn the tides here.
Yeah, and if they don't get the buyback forced out from Ryoya, you can only imagine this Tiny is going to be forced into that position, but everybody's going to be holding their breath for Gunnar. He's going to have another A on disc before they probably make another play like that, but it was a really good toss back. Really put himself out there for his team. The Abyssal Blade fall from Stonebank as well. He's still executing at a very high level here. I think really the most disappointing aspect about that fight was just unable to find anything with the Winter's Curse, but if you are DogChamp here, and you are still playing into this Aegis on Mu, you do not want to have to play versus Megas. The game is hard enough as it is. It doesn't really change all too much. Oh no.
They got Yarn, they're setting him up, they'll take him down. He's got a buyback, and listen, maybe you don't have to pop Ryoya's, but you need Yarn in this fight, and yeah, he knows it. He's just going to buy back right away. Moon, meanwhile, goes back in for the tier 3. Hasn't gotten it just yet, but it is so low, 2 HP, and it does go down slowly but surely. Just at a glacial pace, ET, but nouns are chipping away at these objectives.
And now with Costa Light in, with the Ags, it's a little bit more damage. They pop the Arcanist armor. Well,
Ooh. He does have the Aegis, so even if they bring him down, he's getting back up, but they'd rather not use it in that scenario. They're going to pull Mu back, and, well, mission accomplished. Another buyback extracted, tier 3 and ranged Rex gone, so it's not pretty, ET, and it's maybe not the most exciting strat in the world, but if you're nouns, when this game in the series is over, they'll go as slow as it requires just to try and sort of make sure that they don't mess anything up.
yeah, and they'll take anything they can get at this point. Of course, you didn't have to buy back on the Tiny. It's one of the benefits, but it's where you wonder if DogChamp, to find their jump, can they afford to play passive really any longer in this game, or do we need them to get aggressive? Do we need them to find themselves on the back end of these fights? There are still 2 eggs. There are still 2 supernovas left in this game, and with the Fallen Sky, you can afford to do this on Mu, and they cannot glyph for the racks. They have to glyph for the Ancient, but here's the jump.
Didn't get the racks. Mu, though, is still fighting, and he does have that second life to work with, so he would love to just use that life right now as Yaren. That is not a great Winter's Curse, and Stonebank, he's dead. They'll take him down. Buyback coming in immediately, though, as this fight is going to break down, but oh, maybe it's not. Nouns got what they wanted. It was all a distraction. They kill Stonebank, they force the buyback, they get the Megas, and they are out.
And what did they use on Nouns? The Aegis time's out. They get the reset. All their cooldowns don't really matter, but it was the Mirror Shield. That's what reflected onto Yaren. It's the chaos of these tier 5 items.
Gunnar got the kickback. He cannot die here. They have to do everything they can to save him. All hands on deck, boys. DogChamp got to go in, but Stonebank, he's dropping low. Ryoya coming in, getting the toss back, but he tosses him directly into Costabile. The Razor's pushing in. Stonebank dropping low. Stonebank taken down. They get the Walrus punched in onto Yarn as well, so they're going to be able to finish him off. He doesn't have a buyback either, and this might just be it. DogChamp are in trouble. Speed getting run back to the fountain. Ryoya, meanwhile, trying his best to fight, but they're going to kick Bloody 9 right back into the fray. They take him down first. Ryoya will now fall as well. He's got the buyback. He's going to have to use it, but at this point, the Ancient is going to be exposed. Tier 4 towers are under attack, and look at Mu and Costabile. They're actually going all the way to the fountain. They get the kickback onto the Tiny again, pushing Ryoya back into the fight. He's taken down again, and that's it. GG called, ET, and Nouns, so goddamn patient, but when they get the moment, they pounce and they close it out.
And it wasn't pretty. It wasn't easy. It was a struggle till the end there, but the kickbacks, the forces, the lead-up stuns, everything just worked so well for them for so long.
Going on my screen right now?
It's the game. It's breaking. The Chaos Bolts, they're flying. The DKs, it doesn't make sense. It's Dota past the 60-minute mark. And that's what ended up, I think, spelling defeat for DogChamp on their high ground there. Not having that curse. Yarn, it's just one misstep when you have to pay attention to so many different things. So many BKBs, Force Staffs, Lincoln Spheres, Lotus Orbs. Mirror Shield going unnoticed is not unlikely. But it is that spice. It is that game-changing moment. And really, for a second there, you worry. If you're a Nouns fan, you say Gunnar bought back. If he dies again, this is crazy. But then Gunnar has the self-confidence to get every single kickback, all 3 deaths on the DogChamp side. When they are forced to get those buybacks down, they get buybacks forced out of them. The retreat comes from Nouns. Too many opportunities, and maybe you could say a little bit of carelessness from DogChamp in a game as long as this, and maybe they're starting to feel tired here. We are very long into their day, into their schedule, but man, oh man, Gunnar on that tusk, 24/7 in 25. What a king.
I mean, I'm tired, ET, and I didn't even play the games. We were just watching them, and I'll tell you what, hands are shaking after those last couple of fights. That was absolutely insane. The amount of just nerve and focus required to even be functional in a 60 plus minute team fight multiple times over is is something that really can't be discounted. And Nouns, they hold their ground, they hold their nerve, they take the win. They sure as hell had to fight for it, but they do get it. But if you're DogChamp, if you're gonna lose a series, that is how. That is the best possible fight I think any team could have put up.
Yeah, and talk about earlier stages in the game. I mean, just looking at the graph, seeing what Dota thought with the win probability, they had their shot in this game. They were
Mhm.
certainly not out of it for the longest time. It felt like they were able to spin fights, but it is that complexity in the draft. It is that kind of fact where if Nouns can get that stun landed onto you, if it was a game of who had to use their BKBs first, who has the bigger threat, what do you have to respond to? Do you throw the game if you pop your BKB first in a fight? In this game, that was the case. And I think once you got into that later stages, things get a little bit wackier. They get a little bit less controlled. But talking about DogChamp in general, though, what a run from them all the way through the lower bracket, eliminated so many teams. One of the teams that started in that lower bracket just not able to make the cut by one win. And then this is where they end up. I feel like DogChamp, you've got to be happy with this results. And talking about the results, both Speed and Rioya, got to be happy to play this level of Dota, even though there were the stand-ins coming out of the woodworks. I'm sure it feels good just to play this type of game.
Yeah, to have this kind of high level play, just with any sort of stakes, right? I mean, yeah, we're not the major. We're not hanging out in Stockholm. This isn't the DPC just yet, but there's some money on the line. There's regional pride on the line. There's momentum for sure on the line heading into that third DPC tour. So they do lose the series, but if you're DogChamp as individual players, you have to feel good about where you stand at a skill level heading into that next tour.
Yeah, it's something to be proud of if you're dog champ, even though, you have the layups, you've got relay, you've got speed, you've got these very individually gifted players. I feel like in the tournament at its largest scope, the people popping off in the games, they were the core. It is Yarn making these plays on the Wyvern, changing how other people are playing out him. It is Stonebank clawing his way through defeats where it feels like the game is over, but he's the one who's able to put his team on his back with a 10K goal deficit. And it's B9 with the drafts, with the vision. It's where I think if you're dog chip, you could just be oh so proud about this game. But sorry, that's enough dog chip talk though, because now they were the team that everybody expected to win. They looked so good. As we usually talk about these BTS Pro Series, whenever Nouns, for Zoomers, whoever, they feel down on their luck, they didn't do so well in the DPC, these BTS Pro Series, it's back to form. It's a reformation period. It's where they get to confidently say, we won this. We got top 3. We got top 2. This is them really trying to make their statement. And I think before the DPC starts up, how TI and how this looks for them, it should feel and look great.
Mm-hmm. Certainly a lot for them to build upon now moving forward. In the meantime, we are going to have an interview at the end of this insane series, so we are getting someone from Nouns to come speak to us. So while we get that set up, we are going to be stepping away for just a little bit here while we get those players in here and get ourselves ready to go. So don't go anywhere just yet. You're going to want to hear what Nouns have to say at the end of that one. So winner's interview is on its way in really just a couple of minutes. So stick around and we'll be right back. Okay, here we go. Hello, everybody. Welcome back one last time to the BTS Pro Series 11. We are ready for our winner's interview here. We've got a pair of members from Nouns. We have both Gunner and Husky. Gunner has the cams. Husky is not going to be joining us in the camera land today, but he's still here. You can still hear him. He is still very much here, even if we can't see him. But gentlemen, thank you for joining us, especially after that marathon of a final game.
Yeah, that was. I did not expect the game to go that long, to be honest.
Oh. But well, yeah. Well, I do want to start it off there. I suppose just going to start with the question that sort of most immediately comes to mind for you, Gunner. ET and I were the ones calling that fight, and I got kind of lightheaded because I ran out of time to breathe. So it was hectic just to watch. What is the thought process? What are the comms like in the middle of those crazy fights when you're kicking like 3 or 4 times in a row?
That was something. I mean, I've been like playing Tusk a lot in pubs, and we played in a scrim and I got like yelled at because I'd just be like, I'm kicking him back, and then no one really knew what would happen. And so now I've been working a lot on like pinging where I'm like kicking them to and telling my team where I'm kicking and who I'm looking to kick. So it's a lot of just me yelling kick, like the whole fight. And I don't know. I feel like I talk way more when I'm Tusk because there's so much like, I don't know. Husky, you think I feel like I yell a lot when I'm Tusk. Like I'm so loud.
Yeah, the whole team fights is just Gunner yelling his spells because they're on such a low cooldown.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was hectic, but it sounds like you guys were able to hold your focus quite nicely, and kind of leads me into maybe the next point here. A lot of that emphasis was on Stonebank throughout not just that game, but some of the previous ones as well. Did it reach a point in that game where he was kind of priority one, and the likes of Ryoya and Speed didn't really factor into the game plan as much for you guys in terms of your targeting?
Maybe you can go, Husky.
I think for the first, I think the reason this game was so hard this last game is because for the first like 40 minutes we attempted to target Stonebank, the Alchemist, and in reality this hero really didn't do a whole lot compared to the rest of his team, and so that's where I think we really messed up. We should have been focusing the backline more.
And someone was like, this Alchemist hero is so shit. He's just a bait, and every time we go on him, we lose the fight. So then we stopped going on him, and like I would go on him just to force his BKB. Like I kick him so he'd get scared, and then we'd all run away, and that'd be it.
Yeah, it was a plan that definitely worked out for you guys, and do want to sort of ask you as well. You're able to recover with the game 4 win, as long and hard as it may have had to be, but the game 3 scenario where Stonebank's Medusa kind of got a little bit too out of control, you guys end up dropping that game. What was the sort of team's thought process after game 3 moving into the next game to regroup?
Well, I'll be honest, I went for a walk. I was a little annoyed. And then I came back, and the rest of these goons are just doing morbing time memes. And they were cheerful, so it was good by them.
Yeah.
They were keeping the spirits high, and I was a little more emo than I probably should have been.
The game ended. I was
Obviously.
like, did you pick Nightstalker just for the meme moo? And then he just smiley faced in the chat. So I don't know. I don't think it
Sounds
was
like
just
he
for the
owned
meme,
you.
but I don't
Sounds
think
like
it was
he
just
owned
for the
you.
meme. But yeah,
Oh my god. I mean, this kind of shows where you guys are, where halfway through a grand final series, one of your players is like, hey, let's go for the Morbin time meme. Yeah, let's try that. But I mean,
I
can't
think it was
argue
more
with the
of a
results.
coincidence. Yeah.
yeah. Coincidence. Dota. Unlucky, guys. It was unlucky.
So I got one last question for you before I turn you over to ET. We've got that third DPC tour coming up. You guys are playing at a high level, obviously, just one pro series, and some of the other teams in the region, like like Quincy Crew, have sort of made some roster changes, so maybe there's a little bit of an adjustment period there. Do you feel like you're in a position now to really sort of push your way forward and compete for a spot at that major?
Yeah, this one. You want me? All right, I got this
Me?
one.
You go.
Yeah. I mean, I think our schedule's out. We play EG like game 1 of the season of the tour, which happens quite a bit actually. I think it's a big advantage for us because they're. I mean, I guess they're not really a new roster, like a semi-new roster. They got flyback.
True.
But yeah, usually the way EG roster works is they start off kind of shaky, and then they get really good by the end of the tour. So I think it's an advantage for us. I think we played Quincy like week 2 or 3, so same story. Um, I mean, last tour though we went 2-1 with TSM, 2-1 with Quincy Crew, and uh, we put up a pretty good game versus EG that we lost 2-0. But yeah, I think this will probably be the most opportunistic tour for us with this current iteration. So we'll see.
I think this last like month we probably improved the most out of like any segment of time with this team. I mean, in my opinion, I think we learned a
Yeah.
lot about the map.
I would agree.
So
All right, well, wish you guys the best of luck there, and that's all I had for you. I'll hand you over to ET now.
Now you just need a patch to change the map, and then you know nothing, and then you just start losing.
yeah, that could happen.
That could happen, but I guess as going into this series, what do you guys think changes the most? Of course, best of five, it's a longer format. A lot of people think it's just the longer format. We talk a lot about the mind games when we do get to this grand final day, but for you guys, what do you think changes the most coming into this game?
I mean, for me, uh, I think the thing that surprised me the most was like I forgot about the ALK when we went into the grand finals. I was telling my team, I was like, okay, guys, for me, I like just banning heroes when the team is like feeling good about a hero for the day. Like they were coming in the series, they were like hot at these two ALK wins. I was like, we should just ban it, even if we think it's bad, we should ban it. And then I think we banned it like the first 2 or 3 games. I don't remember, but then in game 4, I forgot about it because I don't even think about this here. I think he's okay, but I don't think he's that good. And then they get a 24. And then they pick a 24. I was like, shit, guys, I forgot about banning their alchemist. That's not good. So
Yeah,
yeah,
that's pretty bad. But it's fun. It's fun, right? You get to play versus their best hero. And then I guess
yeah.
what happened in game 3 with the Medusa? Because you guys banned, I think, a pit ward, and then you banned another hero, and then they banned anti-mage, and then they just slammed the Medusa, and
Oh
then
yeah, we banned the brood, and in the moment there was some conversation about whether this tiny was just gonna be carry and they pick a zoo off lane, and then like you just we had an idea, we went with it, but in hindsight, like I don't think I've ever seen Speed play brood. I don't think they'll even win the lane with brood against Enchantress plus last pick. But yeah, it is what it is. I think that game was completely winnable. I think we had some really bad like map plays. Like we took some team fights, basically ran into their triangle and fed a few times. Maybe some item mistakes as well. Um, yeah, I think the game was winnable, but it was definitely hard because of the Dusa pick. That was probably their only pick there in that draft. That would save them, I think.
no, yeah, I completely agree. And then I guess last question here. I think in the nouns agreement that you guys have with them, there is something about you guys maybe getting a little bit more support if you guys are looking for that TI qualification. Does that maybe give you guys a little bit more motivation? Is that something to push forward again in this tier 3? You already said it's a very opportunistic tour for you guys. So my camera dies, but is that another motivator coming in from kind of the back end where if you guys do qualify, you do get just kind of, I don't want to say more money, but you get more support coming out from that organization?
For me, it's like a motivator in the sense that makes you not worry. Like it's not a motivator, isn't like, oh, we got to do better for this, or like it's helping us do better. But it's more of like you don't think about it in a way. Like you don't have to worry about like salary or money or anything. You just have everything you need, and you just get to play. Like they
You
told
just
us
get
when
to
we
be a
were talking to them,
player.
yeah, they're just like, all we need you guys to do is just play Dota and get better and just win. And we're like, okay, like that's easy.
That's easy.
Easier
I
to do
mean,
than other stuff. So
True.
not gonna see a GoFundMe by TI time for you guys.
hopefully
to-
not.
but thank you guys so much. It's always a pleasure hearing from you guys. You guys are great.
Yeah. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Oh, yeah. Thank you to Gunner and Husky for coming and talking to us. Good luck moving forward, gentlemen, and yeah, best of luck on that DPC tour.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Let's see if I can avoid breaking absolutely everything. There we go. Much better. So yeah, that is going to do it. Thank you again to Gunner and Husky, especially putting up with the fact that we had to angle with the cameras a little bit there. But always nice to hear from them. Nice to hear their thought process there in what ended up being a very weird series. ET felt like the first 3 games kind of flew by, and then game 4 just stretched on for eternity. But Nouns do get the win. They get the lion's share of the prize money here, and they get some bragging rights moving back into DPC time.
Yeah, no, they get to be happy, and of course, get to be happy against a team that they will not be seeing in their DPC season. But that's where great showing from them. And it did feel like the first 3 games, they were more or less settled. We didn't really get to see a whole lot. It kind of just, like you said, flew by. And then game 4, it just kept on giving, just kept on going and going and going. But no, they're looking great. Especially, I think that win earlier on in the upper bracket versus Wildcard should be a huge confident booster. I remember we talked with them earlier in this tournament where they said, don't feel like we should have lost to him. Feel like we should have been that team gunning in right there beneath Quincy or maybe TSM and EG. But that's where they want to be. And that's where, depending on how the season turns out, depending on how the DPC points go, especially once the major gets involved, NA4 slots, NA4 slots? I don't know. We'll see. But that would be just a fantastic thing for that roster. And like you said, they've got the support, they've got the organization behind them. If they do qualify for that TI, they get the luxury of just being players, which is just a fabulous feeling. I can only imagine.
And yeah, I mean, we just saw what that kind of sort of stability did for a team like TSM, who were building themselves up, but then you have the org behind you, sort of backing you. You have so much less to worry about. You just, as Gunnar said, you go, you play Dota, and you win, and they make it to the grand finals of a major. So, no guarantees Nouns do the same in Arlington, but it would certainly be a nice touch, especially the chance to fight for a major title on home soil as well. So, you know, that's the ambition. We might be getting a little ahead of ourselves. Haven't even started the third tour yet, and I'm already here talking about the major, but I feel like that's the kind of plans that Nouns could realistically have for themselves and try to go out there and pursue them.
Yeah, and maybe the patch comes out and they just suck at the patch and all their heroes get nerfed and it's just over and that's it. And
It's
then
true
we never
too.
hear from them again. But that's to be said for every team, right? And I think coming in as a group that's been together for what 4 or 5 months at this point, I think all the way back when they got Costa Bile, when the original roster change happened, just seeing the growth from this team, it's just incredible. And of course, you could say maybe they had a little bit of an easier time. You know, we're missing the Thunder Awakened boys. You know, they're off doing their own thing. But at the same time, maybe that'll be the clash in the future here. Maybe that's going to be the stage that we see these teams next on. But otherwise, it's been a really fun tournament. It's been great seeing these teams, and especially DogChamp, little brother, making it all the way. I mean, it's always great to see that just straight shot in.
Mm-hmm. DogChamp get to show their stuff. Speed gets to show you a preview of what he could potentially do, maybe for 5-rat coming up as well. So, yeah, everything looked pretty impressive there, but ET, we are coming down to the end of it here, winding things down for Pro Series 11. So, one last sort of closing thoughts for you. What is your biggest takeaway from this event?
We need to play other games. We need a new patch. We get another game. If you're playing Dota right now and you're still doing it, you are a trooper. You are a great person. Somehow people are still playing pubs, thousands, millions of pubs every single day. There are other games out there, guys. We'll get a patch probably in a week's time, at least fingers crossed. Or maybe we don't. Maybe the DPC season's too late. Maybe you guys are all screwed and you're stuck in the same games, but just have fun, you know? That's the real thing. So many Dota players don't have a great time, but it is still great, but take a step back, you know? Maybe play some other games. I play
Oh,
Apex.
no, hold on. I am getting word from Valve right now, ET. You're fired. You can't tell people to stop playing Dota. That's against the rules. You broke the contract, and they are coming to collect you as we speak. So
I'm ready.
make your time. You're ready. I don't know if I want to know what that entails, but oh yeah, they're not going to take you without a fight. But we are starting to ramble here, so it is probably high time to get on out. So congratulations once again to Nouns. They take this grand final 3-1. They are Pro Series 11 champions. Commiserations to DogChamp, a very well-deserved second place for them. So that is going to do it for us. Thank you all for joining us across the entirety of this event. I know things got a little funky with the big old break in the middle for the major, but it's the major. We all get out of the way when the major rolls around. So for myself and ET, we're going to be hopping on out of here. Thank you so much. Shout out to our admins as well on the BTS side, Nina and Badger, helping us put this whole thing together. And one last shout out to HyperX for sponsoring the whole event. So thank you all very much. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Enjoy the holiday tomorrow if you are in the US. We will see you all next time on Beyond the Summit. Thank you very much.